Tomorrow, the High Court will rule on the government's plan to swap asylum seekers in Australia for Malaysian-based refugees. The deal's been condemned by activists, but the refugees are hoping it goes ahead because it holds the hope that they might get to Australia by legitimate means. If it doesn't, many say they'll go back to dealing with people smugglers. Southeast Asian correspondent Zoe Daniel reports from Kuala Lumpur.
If Chan Mung has a spring in his step, it's because life is finally about to change for the better. Now a refugee in Malaysia, Chan was a soldier in the Chin rebel army in Burma and became a target of the military government, facing forced labour or death. 7 years ago he escaped, smuggled out of Burma by a human trafficker, but it was years before he could get his family out too.
I felt very depressed while separated from my family. I was so worried about how they would survive.
Chan and his wife and their 4 boys are among the 90-odd thousand refugees in Malaysia, mostly from Burma. Over the years here, they've had no legal access to work, healthcare or government-run schools because refugees have no rights under Malaysian law. But in just a few days, Chan Mung and Mang Doi and their boys will begin a new life in Brisbane. They've been accepted for permanent residency in Australia.
I am very glad and cried. We live in hard conditions in Malaysia. I cry at night from difficulties. The Australian people wish to call us, and when we received this letter, I feel so glad and have happiness which I cannot express.
She describes evading arrest and extortion by immigration police in Malaysia, as well as mistreatment by others in positions of power, like employers and landlords. A life in Australia is a life of hope for people who've had little.
I have huge expectations and hopes about going to Australia.
The boys also have big plans.
I
want to go study and learn English as well. I also love to swim and am very excited.
I plan to play football in Australia and join an Australian football club.
But 18 people live in this tiny flat, and those who haven't been chosen this time hope they'll be next. Under the swap, 4,000 extra refugees from Malaysia will be given permanent places in Australia. That number should still stand, even if Australia can't send 800 back. The aim of the swap is to stop people smugglers. Yet since it was announced, boatloads of people have arrived at Christmas Island, mostly from Afghanistan, but also Iran, Iraq and stateless people from Pakistan. It's unclear whether they knew about the deal and were trying to reach Australia before it was finalised, but it seems that they didn't come from existing refugee communities in Malaysia. Refugee activist Irene Fernandez says demand from conflict zones will keep driving the boat trade.
People are fleeing because their lives are threatened. And therefore, people who get onto any boat are fleeing for the safety and to ensure safety of their lives. Now, this deal is not going to stop that fleeing of people from their countries.
Khalid Al-Tamimi is an Iraqi who first learnt about the refugee swap from us when we met a few weeks ago. He's since started an informal support group for Iraqis and is trying to convince them that they're better off waiting for a legitimate place than taking a boat.
I think the people can be patient to the new deal, but we cannot control all of them. I not guarantee there's many people who will go trying by boat.
Imad has been here more than 2 years. He says he'll wait for the High Court's decision tomorrow. If the deal falls over, he'll take a boat.
Are you still thinking of going?
Yes, I am. If there is an agreement, I will stay here. If not, I will leave.
Arranging transport to Australia seems surprisingly easy. To demonstrate, Khalid calls a broker in our presence an Iraqi in Thailand who can help coordinate contact with a people smuggler in Indonesia. The contact is nervous, but Khalid persists.
مثل ما يقولون تخوف
يا اخوي ما تخوف واحنا كنا عن عراقيين ونريد نخلص امورنا وعندنا عوائل ومتورطين هنا ونريد نطلع فشون الطريقه.
Khalid tells the broker he wants to take his 3 children with him on the boat and asks about safety.
هي باخره ولا قارب صغير ولا كيف طريقه؟
قارب صغير من هذا
قارب يعني هذا مال فيشنج يعني اللي يصيدون به.
اي هذا مال الفيشنج مال الصيد.
مال الصيد اوكي. زين ما يخوف هذا يعني مو صعب شويه شغلته له؟
والله هو صعب بس واحد شو يسوي يعني اذا المتوازي كل شيء يسوي.
The broker tells Khalid he can take a boat any time and to pay the smuggler directly. The main incentive not to take a boat for this group is the chance of a legitimate place in Australia. But with only 4,000 extra places over 4 years, few Iraqis will be that lucky. It's likely Burmese refugees will get the bulk of the places. So if the High Court rules the deal to send those who take boats back to Malaysia invalid, there'll be renewed incentive here to make a deal with a smuggler. After 4 years waiting, Wissam is one of those who's almost lost patience.
No have choice. We have 2 choices. Go to Iraq, we will die. Go to boat, 100%, 50% you'll die, 50% you go to life. So, the better boat. This is my choice.
And he's not the only one losing his life to waiting.
For 2 years, I don't go to school, and now I want to go to school.
Tomorrow, they'll be waiting on the High Court.
Zoe Daniel reporting from Kuala Lumpur.